What's up everyone, Tyler Medeiros here and welcome to TylerMedeirosTV. For those of you who are not subscribed, you can subscribe down below so you don't miss a video, and for those of you that are, welcome back. In today's video we're going to be getting into something really interesting, but first, I'm sure you guys have noticed the new background. Haley and I have been getting a lot of things together in the house, and we finally set up this, different background, and I'm happy to have the picture up behind me, so I'm going to be filming in front of that. And also in front of this new background whenever I do sit down videos. So I hope you guys enjoy it because you guys are going to be seeing a lot of it. But also before we get into today's video, I want to thank you guys so much for those of you that have been tuning into game night. It has always been an amazing time. So I want to thank you guys for always tuning in and showing so much love. And also for those of you that do not know about game night, I go live right here every Sunday on TylerMedeirosTV, and I call it game night, and you guys can tune in and play a game with me and usually Haley and I right here on TylerMedeirosTV. But now that we have all that out of the way, we're going to be getting into something that you guys may not know about Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is located on the international border between the US and Canada, and it's made up of 3 different falls. One falls is called Horseshoe Falls, the second is called the American Falls, and the third is called the Bridal Veil Falls. Now, something you guys may not know about Niagara Falls is one night in 1848, the falls suddenly seemed to dry up. But before we get into why the stunning Niagara Falls suddenly stopped one day, let me tell you just a little bit about it for those of you who may not know what it is. Niagara Falls is exactly what it says to be. It is a falls, and it is a very big tourist attraction here in Canada and the US. By the year 1848, when this happened, the villages on the US and Canadian side had grown to accommodate the large crowds of people that would come from all over the world to see the magnificent Niagara Falls. The residents had also built water wheels that would produce energy from the Niagara River, which would power all the mills and factories in the area. Now, something interesting that you guys may not know is that the Niagara River is one of the greatest sources of hydroelectric power. Niagara Falls is able to produce close to 4.9 million kilowatts, which is enough energy to power 3.8 million homes. The US plants have the capacity to produce around 2.7 million kilowatts, while the Canadian side has the capacity to produce close to 2.2 million kilowatts. Now that you guys know a little bit about Niagara Falls, let's get into why this magnificent falls suddenly ran dry one night. It all started on March 29th around midnight in 1848 when a farmer was out for a stroll and he noticed that there was something different in the air. He then noticed that the loud roar of the Niagara Falls wasn't present that night. The farmer wandered over to the river's edge and he noticed that there was barely any water in the river. As the dawn of March 30th arrived, the citizens awoke to an eerie silence. The magnificent Niagara Falls was now a trickle. Without the power of the water wheels produced by the river, the factories and mills were forced to shut down. After years of the water flowing through the river, the water had stopped and the riverbed was exposed. People then ventured down onto the riverbed, collecting old souvenirs and even old weapons. Now in 1848, the telegraph was still a new invention, so communication wasn't really easy. And even though railroad tracks served towns on both sides, the railroad tracks really weren't reliable. People were left without answers to why the falls had stopped, so they flocked to churches to pray that hopefully the world would soon resume. It was not until word came from Buffalo that explained why the falls had dried up, which was about 3 hours away. Citizens finally had an answer for all their worries. Strong winds from the southwest had forced large chunks of ice to gather at the tip of Lake Erie, causing there to be a block in the lake's outlet to the Niagara River. Just as fast as they got the news traveled, and people from the surrounding cities flocked to the Niagara Falls to see the dried up site. They even had US Army soldiers parade across the empty Niagara River. And if that doesn't sound dangerous enough, they did this all without knowing when the flow of water would resume. An interesting fact that you guys may not know is that the Maid of the Mist, which is a boat that tourists can pay to get on, and it brings you to have a closer look at the falls. The owner of the Maid of the Mist took advantage of the falls drying up and hired a worker team to go and explode these rocks that they had to avoid while they would take you out on the tour. The Niagara River was dry for 30 hours until the night of March 31st, when people began to hear a really large rumbling getting closer. The rumbling got louder and louder until a wave of water crashed over the falls. But not only does Niagara Falls have a lot of history, but they also have a haunted past. Now the falls didn't stop just once. They were actually stopped again in 1969. The reason behind stopping it was actually to preserve the falls. In June 1969, US engineers diverted the Niagara River flow away from the American Falls for 3 months, so they would be able to survey the falls and remove the buildup of rocks. In order for the engineers to stop the flow of water, they had to build a 600-foot dam across the Niagara River. This dam diverted 60,000 gallons of water per second to the Horseshoe Falls on the Canadian side. While the falls were stopped in 1969, people wandered onto the riverbed collecting coins, old army weapons, and even just rocks. That's not all they found in the falls though. The workers even retrieved 2 bodies, one being a male which was seen jumping into the falls, and one being a woman which was only discovered upon the falls being dried up. Something interesting that you guys may not know is for the time of them working on the falls, they actually built a path at the edge of the dry falls which tourists were allowed to walk on. Before the engineers worked on the falls, the erosion rate was on an average of 4 feet a year. After the work was done, the erosion of the American Falls was estimated at an average of 3 to 4 inches every 10 years. Now you guys may have heard this all before, but if you haven't, now you can say that you have. But I'm going to go ahead and close out today's video here. I want to thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you guys continuously give me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a nice big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if you guys enjoy videos like this. But again, thank you guys so much for all the love and support. I will see you guys on game night and, well, in my next video. Peace.